Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Daisel. I'm from the Unisa Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. A very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us this afternoon. Just a few announcements before we start with our seminar is that you will notice that your camera and microphone are currently disabled, but we will enable these during the Q&A session after the presentation. Please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A as well as the chat during the session. We also just ask that you don't share any personal information with each other on this platform. That would include your email address, your personal email address, and your telephone number. We are recording the session, and you will receive an email with a link to the recording. So just our program for this afternoon. So I'm doing the welcome. Then I'm going to invite my colleague, Mrs. Manda Makanya, to introduce our speaker to us. Then we have our presentation, which is about 5 easy steps to landing your dream job. Then we will have the Q&A session, during which you'll be able to ask live questions, but we will then also answer the questions that you posted in the chat. And then my colleague, Mr. Bekim Zorbi, will end off the session for us with a thank you. So with that, Mrs. Makanya, if I could please ask you to introduce our speaker to us.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure today to introduce our speaker for the day. She is Michelle Dobson and the head of brands for PostNet. For PNet, South Africa's leading online recruitment platform, which connects job seekers with their vacancies. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give our guest speaker today a warm Unisa virtual welcome by putting our hands together. Thank you, Lisa. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Mandu. Michelle, you are welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me once again. Yeah, absolutely love doing these sessions, and always good to hear back from people on the floor. So please do, yeah, as Lisa said, please do put your questions into the chat, and we will, yeah, get to them at the end of the session. So I am here to talk today about how you move from being seen to being hired. And we're going to talk a little bit about how online recruiting works, you know, how to make your profile stand out to recruiters, how to create a quality profile that's going to put you ahead of the competition, and obviously the competition being all other job seekers that have similar qualifications, similar experience. You know, and we do understand where you're at. We get lots of questions from our recruiters as well as our job seekers. You know, these are some of the comments we've had on our social media platforms. Are there companies actually looking for graduates? You know, should I email companies directly? How do I go about looking for a job? How long should my CV be? Is my degree enough? You know, I don't have any work experience. How do I fill that in my profile? So you're not alone if these are the questions that you're also asking. As I say, we do get a lot of these questions from our job seekers and from our comments. And at the same time, we're also getting questions from recruiters. You know, the top concerns we hear from graduates: how am I supposed to have experience if I've just graduated? I don't think I have the skills that they're looking for. I don't know how to make myself stand out or even get found. But as I say, recruiters are also asking questions. You know, they're saying that they need graduates with at least some transferable skills or transferable experience. When they're looking for CVs on the PNet platform or any other online recruitment platform, often they don't come across, you know, actual skills. It's really just a collection of qualifications or technical skills, but the use of soft skills, and we'll talk about that at length in a little bit, is very, very critical in recruiting, and therefore, in creating a profile. We also hear from our recruiters that they can't find graduates. So, they're looking for entry-level candidates. They're looking for graduates for interns, but their profiles aren't visible on the platform. So they actually can't even access the CVs that are currently on the platform. So we're going to talk around about how you can, put your best foot forward and give yourself the best opportunity to move from having a profile that's seen by recruiters to being shortlisted and considered for a role, and then eventually landing the job. So for those who aren't familiar with PNET, we have been around for 28 years. Started as an old school job board, a place where recruiters would come and put their vacancies, and job seekers would create profiles and go and search what vacancies were put on the system. We've come a long way since then. We are an online platform working with global technology. So we're owned by a company in Germany called the Stepstone Group. And we use world-class technology that helps actually match a job seeker to a vacancy. So it's using AI, it's using the information that you put in your profile to match to vacancies that job seekers are then putting up on the platform. But job seekers also use the database to headhunt proactively. So, as I say, gone are the days where you would just come onto the platform and then do a search by a job sector or a job role or a job title. There are constantly, and up to about 80% of our recruiters are using the platform to headhunt. So making your profile visible is absolutely critical to be available to opportunities. So we'll talk about that in a second. So I always say we're almost like the eBay of recruitment. So you've got on eBay, you've got buyers and sellers, and eBay is the technology that connects buyers and sellers. In our industry, we've got recruiters and job seekers, and we're the platform that connects the two. So how online recruitment works, I mean, this is actually an extract from our grad pack, which I'll chat about a little bit towards the end of the session. But if you have downloaded our grad pack, you'll probably recognize this image. Excuse me. And it's really just to say that there's two ways in which recruiters hire. The well-known way is that, as I said, the traditional way of posting a vacancy on PNET's platform, and then the job seeker will come along, see that job, create a profile if they don't already have one, and then apply for that position. Once they've applied for the position, then the relationship sits between the recruiter and the candidate. But if you look at the bottom row, as I say, up to about 80% of our recruiters are actually using the platform to headhunt talent. So instead of posting a job ad, we always encourage them to do both. But instead of posting a job ad, they might just come onto the platform, search the database, put in some keywords of specific skills or sector that they're looking for, and they'll shortlist on that basis without ever having advertised the vacancy. So we also do encourage all job seekers to, create a profile, have it ready and live and visible, so that you are considered when those opportunities come up, as well as the job ads that are advertised. The other thing to remember, and we don't get into it too much in this presentation, but the other thing to remember is that in today's online recruiting space, recruiters will use what they call an ATS, an application tracking system. And I know when I'm from doing these sorts of sessions before, I think there is quite a lot of familiarity with the term. But for those who aren't aware, it really just is a way to say that there's essentially a system, this application tracking system, that will scan your CV and scan your profile, looking for keywords, looking for information that matches, the vacancy that they're trying to fill. And if your CV or your profile doesn't have the right keywords, you'll just automatically kind of not move forward to the next step in the application process. So giving yourself the time, the space, and giving your profile consideration around what kind of career you're looking for, what kind of job you're looking for, how do you want to position yourself is really key in those instances. And skills and work experience are two of the big fields where you can really make a difference in your profile. So we have over 5,000 recruiters working with us. The majority of them are still recruitment agencies who will obviously work on behalf of both corporate and SME clients. And then we do have 18% of our recruiters working directly with us. So those are corporate companies or SMEs that are accessing the PNET platform directly. They're posting their job ads, they're headhunting the database rather than working through agencies. So they are still recruiters, but they're recruiting directly for a specific brand or company. And there's a specific way that you need to make your profile visible to those, what we call direct recruiters, which we'll get into in a second. We are the leading online recruitment platform in South Africa, and we are the busiest recruitment platform in South Africa. We have about 5.6 million site visits per month, of which 2 million are unique. And at any given time, we have an average of between 28,000 and 30,000 live jobs available on our platform for you to apply for. More specifically, for this particular audience, we have a specific sector on our platform that's dedicated to graduate jobs, internships, entry-level jobs, and roughly 13,000 of those jobs are live. Obviously, different working models, different sectors, but yeah, it is a nice chunk of jobs that are made available specifically for graduates in mind, with no prior work experience necessarily. So the crux of this, the rest of this session is really going to talk about the 5 steps that you need to take to land your dream job or your ideal job. So the first one is to register with PNET, to add your transferable skills and your work experience. So as I mentioned, these are the 2 areas that we really believe you can make a difference in your profile and how your profile works for you, to be found, to be shortlisted, and hopefully be invited for interviews. Be visible to recruiters. You'll also hear me harp on about that for quite a while in this presentation. And then we always talk about ways that you can stay informed. So how do you, stay up to date with what's happening in the world of work, get kind of advice and guidance on your career journey, etc. So we'll talk through a little bit of that. And then the last point is to get prepping. And that's really just, as we say, to kind of do the work in a considered way to get a really quality profile up for recruiters to find you. So the first one is to register with PNET. As I said, we have over 5,000 recruiters that work with us on a regular basis. So it is a no-brainer. There are jobs there. There are big corporate customers. There are SMEs, and SMEs have a really good, it's a different way of working. They've got a flatter structure. They're less hierarchical. So there is room for both SMEs and corporates. And then, as I said, over 80% recruitment agencies as well, who would hire across the board for SMEs, corporates, different sectors, different levels of jobs, etc. So the first thing you'll do, I mean, the registration process is quite self-explanatory. So I'm not going to spend too much time on kind of talking through the various steps, because you would be able to follow the steps, I hope, quite clearly when you register. But I am going to stop and talk through areas, as I say, that we believe you can really make a difference to how you position yourself as a brand you to a recruiter. So the first thing would be to go to the PNET website, pnet.co.za. In the far right-hand corner there's a little drop-down menu that says sign in, register, or if you're a recruiter, you would have a different sign in. If you haven't yet registered, you would click on register, and immediately you can create an email address and a password. So from here, you can continue to create your profile kind of in the same sitting, which we do encourage you to do. But if not, you can log out at this point. You would get a verification email sent to your inbox, or to the email address that you used here. And you could go back at a later stage and go and populate your profile with all the good things that recruiters are looking for. If you don't see your verification email, specifically if you're using Gmail, always go and check your junk and promotions folder. Yeah, Gmail just kind of shoots everything that it's unfamiliar with into those folders. So the first thing, it's almost like addressing the elephant in the room. We know that that there's always a lot of frustration from job seekers and candidates that are filling out these fields when it comes to online recruitment. There's a lot of fields. I think there's about 26 fields that we ask you to fill out, and then of course the last one is please upload your CV. And then you're going, why am I uploading my CV when you've just asked me to unpack everything in my CV into these individual fields? There is a method to that madness, and very good reasons for it. The profile that you would create, that is kind of the unpacking of your CV, is basically what recruiters will come and use to shortlist. So when they access the PNET platform or any online recruitment platform in the back end, they will go and use every single one of those fields that we've asked you to complete can be used to shortlist. So if we ask, what salary are you looking for? That is a way for recruiters to filter out anybody that doesn't fit within their salary range. If they're if the job is based in Gauteng, same story, they can filter out anybody that's not based in Gauteng or hasn't indicated that they're willing to relocate. If they're looking for somebody that is in or has a qualification in, I don't know, computer science, then they can go and filter that out specifically. And in fact, computer science is probably a bad example, because that would be quite a specific requirement. So your fields would generally, be based on whether you're looking for an entry-level job, remote working, hybrid working, full-time, where you're based, which industry you're looking for, etc. When it comes to job titles or specific roles within certain sectors, that's where your CV will play a very important role, and the keywords that you use on your CV. So we'll get to that in a second. Once you've completed on the PNET platform specifically, you'll go through a series of fields or questions, and as you populate them, you'll see there's a little, almost like a little timer or a little circle on the top right-hand side of your screen that says, you're 70% through, you're 80% through. Until you get to 100%, your profile is not going to be visible to recruitment agencies. So you do need to get your profile to 100% as an absolute bare minimum to be found by recruitment agencies. That said, as I mentioned earlier, you also to stand yourself in good stead and make sure you don't miss out on opportunities, we also recommend that you make your profile visible to companies that are hiring directly. So that 18% of recruiters that I spoke about earlier that work directly for a particular company or brand, you need to specifically go and make your profile visible. And if you're nervous that, you're looking probably not that relevant to you guys because you would be potentially entering the world of work, but if you're nervous that your current company is going to find your profile, there is also a way that you can hide that particular customer. First of all, they can only find your profile if they are a PNet customer. And if they are, you can actually hide your profile from that company specifically. So there are ways and means, to make sure that you're not going to be caught out for wanting to leave or be questioned or anything like that. But making your profile visible to companies hiring directly is also very, very important, because there are more and more recruiters that are going direct, that are using online recruitment platforms rather than working through recruitment agencies, just because the payment models are so different. So we do encourage you to do that, and I'll show you in a bit how to. And then once you've created a profile, in the back of your mind, just try and remember that, every time either your contact details, your cell phone or your email address changes, or you get an additional qualification, even if it's a soft skill, not necessarily, a technical skill or a degree, even if you do a short course online around conflict management or something like that, go and add that to your profile. So always keep your profile up to date. I can't tell you how many recruiters contact us to say they found the perfect candidate, through headhunting and looking on the database, but they've left that email address, their cell phone number's changed. Can we help them? And we can't. Whatever contact details are in the profile is the only means we or the recruiter have of reaching out to you. So keep your profile updated as far as you can. So the first section you're going to come across when you are registering your PNet platform is to complete your personal details. All very self-explanatory. The only thing I'm going to mention here is these two yellow stars. So we sometimes have people contacting our support line to say that they can't get their profile to 100%. They're not able to complete it. And you can see here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you can see a 0% here, and it says profile completeness. In other words, you've still got 100% to go through to get your profile complete. But if you are struggling to submit and you can't figure out where, and you've seen all your other fields are completed in full, then just be aware of these two things. The one is the format that you put your number in. And the other one to mention is that if you already have a profile, in other words, if you put your ID number in here and it tells you you have an existing profile, you'll be asked to go and sign into that profile. So you can go and use a forget password or contact our support team for help, but we won't allow you to create two profiles. And then also just a note that if you are not a South African citizen, there is an opportunity at the citizenship drop down to actually select that. So it's not only for South African citizens necessarily. Okay, the step number 2, add your transferable skills and your work experience. So it's so important to use this section in the profile to learn to sell yourself. Show how your current life skills, experience, and education are relevant to the workplace. So I'm sure you come across the term transferable skills a lot, probably in these kind of career readiness workshops. Transferable skills are very, very important for recruiters to understand your actual kind of innate personality. Obviously, your hard skills or your technical skills would talk to your degree or your qualifications, but you would also have various life skills in the form of, if we look in the second column there, if you're organized, or you're a good communicator, or if you collaborate well with people, I've got conflict resolution there, if you manage budgets in your time. Soft skills are becoming more and more relevant to recruiters to match them to hard skills. So if they're looking at 6 or 7 candidates that have very similar qualifications to match a specific job spec or vacancy, recruiters will then move on to the soft skills to understand, well, give me a sense about this person. How have what have they learned in their life, or from life experience, that they can bring into the world of work already. And that also talks to things like culture fit. You want to be getting a job or working for a company where you have shared values, you work well in that kind of environment. So for example, an SME is quite flexible. You need to be adaptable, whereas corporate is quite structured. If you're not a structured person and you feel that kind of pigeonholes you, then you could be very frustrated in a corporate environment, and vice versa in an SME environment. So hard skills, when we ask you to complete skills in your profile and on your CV, we're asking you to list as many hard and soft skills as you possibly can. On the actual profile, on PNet's profile in particular, you can list up to 50 hard and soft skills. That's 50. And list as many as possible. I mean, we did an exercise a couple of months ago where the job, I don't know, I can't remember what the job title was, but it was something to do with sales. So let's maybe say, sales manager, and went into the platform as if we were a recruiter looking for somebody to fill that vacancy. And when we did a search by skills, somebody who had listed sales as a skill that they possess, it's only brought back 2,000 candidates. When we took that skill out and we searched by people that have listed sales in their job history, there were about 11,000. And the truth is that recruiters will go and search by skill. So they will put in specific keywords. They're looking for somebody that has listed sales as a particular skill. So yeah, think as broadly and as wide as you need to. And that the kind of ideas we talk about here is, if you are, let me just see what the next slide is. Yeah, so if you, I don't know, if you've kind of managed events before, or you've, put together parties or anything like that, budget management was absolutely a skill in that regard. If you were captain of your hockey team at school, that will show some leadership skills. So that's what we mean by transferable skills that you can take into the workplace with you. Yeah, so as I said, even though we say list at least 3, you can list up to 50. And each skill on the PNet platform needs to be listed separately. So we'll ask you to put in the actual skill that you possess, whether it's a hard skill or a soft skill, and then indicate the kind of the level to which you possess that skill. Then you'll move on to the second one, then you'll move on to the third one, and hopefully, up to the 42nd one. So this is, it is a bit of a hack, but it is honestly going to stand you in really good stead based on how recruiters use the platform to recruit. This was just an extract of a report that we took this particular screen from, called the Future of Jobs report. It is dating back to 2023, but we're seeing the same information coming out in later reports as well. So as I mentioned, there is a growing trend in recruitment to put a greater emphasis on skills rather than just qualifications. So qualifications and education are obviously, very important, but they're almost your baseline into the world of work right now. Your skills is what's going to get you to stand out above the rest. And then, as I said, despite technical skills still being crucial, this report shows that there's, a balanced focus on creativity, curiosity, and leadership skills. So you can see here, okay, I'm not going to go through all of these, but the same thing keeps coming up. Number 5, resilience, flexibility, and agility. A lot of recruiters are looking for this as a skill now. Curiosity and lifelong learning also always coming up. You need to be able to you need to have your own kind of curiosity to want to keep up to date with certain things that are happening in your sector, because not all of it's going to be just because of how fast the world of work moves, or the world moves. Not all of it's going to be available as as formal education. Creative thinking, that's not necessarily talking about creativity, but it's about how do you think in terms of finding creative solutions for business problems. So the same kind of top 5, 6, 7 are always coming up when we work with recruiters to understand who they're looking for in terms of job seekers and the skills that they possess. So this is another extract from our grad pack. Yeah, and as I say, these are the ones that come up time and time again: passion, teamwork, time management, the ability to communicate, to problem solve. You need to be reliable and humble, have this resilience, a high emotional intelligence, which I think just talks to being able to do teamwork, time management, flexibility, and then learning agility is that lifelong learning and that curiosity that we spoke about. So make your experience count. We've all got life experiences at this point. Any involvement in sports teams, church groups, leadership bodies, volunteer associations, or even tutoring sessions is considered work experience. So it might not have been kind of formal pay slips or paying tax, but all of these things would be part of your transferable skills and part of your work experience, or what you could carry over into the world of work, that's going to make you, or make the recruiter understand that you are a good candidate for a particular role, function, or company. List your responsibilities and accomplishments. If applicable, list any research projects or presentations. Anything that you can say under the skills or the work experience fields in your platform, in the PNET platform, is going to help you stand up. First of all, it's going to help you be shortlisted when recruiters are putting in those specific keywords, but it's also going to help you stand out as more than just your qualification, if that makes sense. And then at the bottom there, we've just got a little example. It says, as a member of my soccer club, I learned how to delegate tasks, work with a diverse group of people from different backgrounds, and organize club events which required an understanding of budgeting. So even just being a member of a soccer club, that's already four soft skills that this person has acquired as transferable skills into the world of work. Okay, the next section is going to be your work experience. So as I said, if you don't have any previous work experience, formal work experience, include all of these things. You can even list your degree there. You just cannot leave this section blank. If you leave this section blank, you are going to sell yourself short when recruiters come looking, and start filtering by work experience. So include your degree, any casual work, as per the previous example, any teamwork you've been involved in, community projects, etc. And then these are just 2 examples of what somebody has filled out before around work experience when they were just entering the world of work. So one listed a Bachelor of Arts degree, and the other one put down their babysitting experience. So if it's babysitter, as I say, think beyond that and say, well, that's my experience. What did I learn from there? What skills did I develop through babysitting that I can then add to my skills section on the platform as well as on my CV? And for babysitting, I would imagine it's things like, responsibility, organization, managing payments, a whole communication, a whole host of things that would come from kind of casual work like that. And then, as I mentioned, as you're going through each of the individual fields, you'll start to see here, how far you are in completing your profile. And it'll give you a little clue as to what you still need to complete in order to get to 100%. So here it's saying your profile is 73%. You still need to go and add your skills. When it comes to attaching your CV, this is also a kind of a question mark or a query that comes into our support center often. These file types listed here. PDF and Word documents are without a doubt the best, so I would recommend those. But it has to be a PDF that's been converted from a document. So it can't be a scanned CV that's then scanned into a PDF format. This is where that ATS I spoke about will come into play. So the ATS will actually scan your CV looking for specific keywords, and then based on what the recruiter is shortlisting in your profile versus what the ATS is picking up from your CV, there'll be a match to a particular job vacancy or job spec that a recruiter is looking to fill. So yeah, so please make sure that you're not sending or uploading scanned CVs. It hopefully won't accept them. It'll probably identify that it's been scanned, and then it will keep telling you, that you're not getting your profile to 100%. So that's also just a little, almost like a little technical thing to look out for if you're not getting your profile to 100% and you can't figure out what's happening. Once you've reached 100%, your profile is now complete. So that will automatically make you, two things to mention there. It will automatically make your profile visible to recruitment agencies, but not to direct recruiters. So you still have to take another step to say, yes, I'm comfortable that companies and brands can see my profile. But we also, to get your profile to 100%, you need to complete the bare minimum on your profile. So the objective of this session is to, as I keep belaboring the point, is to really use that skills, use your hard and soft skills in your profile and on your CV, as well as that work experience field, to upweight your profile. So not just doing the bare minimum to get that 100%, you want recruiters to come and find more than they're expecting when they come to your profile or when they come across your profile. So yeah, be visible to all recruiters. If you can't be found, you can't be shortlisted, you can't be contacted, you can't be interviewed, and you can't be hired. So I think this, play me. This does play through. It's going to show you when you go onto the PNet, when you sign in, once you've registered and you sign in as a job seeker, it is going to, there's a section here on the right-hand corner. It'll say who's signed in. So here we've got Siyabonga. I don't think you guys will be able to see that, but I know it says Siyabonga. And there is a, you'll go to your profile under personal details. So the very first field that we completed, if you go to the personal details section and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a question there. Do you want to be found by all recruiters? Select yes from the drop-down menu, and you'll then be open to all recruiters using our platform, not only recruitment agencies. So I'm going to press play and hope that it shows you that process. No, there we go. Yeah, so you go to my profile. Under personal details, you'll click edit, scroll all the way down, and it says, do you want to allow companies other than recruitment agencies to view your profile? You want to say yes there, and you want to save that. And then you're basically in the running for all recruiters to contact you, not only recruitment agencies. Then the fourth step we spoke about in terms of landing your ideal job is to make the tech work for you. So On the PNet platform, you are able to set up job alerts so that you get an email into your inbox whenever new jobs in your sector are posted by recruiters. So this will only address the one of the ways of that recruiters will recruit, which is by advertising a job vacancy on the system. Of course, the other way is, as I keep mentioning, for them to headhunt the database and find you. So that's where the making your profile visible is so important. But job alerts, you can go up and set up job alerts by going into your profile. Same thing, you'll kind of sign in on the top right-hand corner once you've created a profile. You'll scroll down, it says job alerts, and hoping the next screen will show that. Yes. And then so it says your job alerts to create a new job agent, which is essentially a job alert. You can click on this green button and it'll ask you whether you want to, it'll ask you to almost set up a little filtering tool. So what jobs do you want to know about? Entry-level jobs or all jobs in finance, that require, less than 3 years experience, based in Gauteng, permanent positions, whatever it is. So when a recruiter posts that vacancy, you'll get an alert into your inbox, and that will obviously mean that if your profile is ready to go, you can log in either from the website or from the mobile app, and shoot off your CV that's uploaded and profile that's ready to be viewed. We also do encourage you to toggle these two buttons to the right-hand side. From time to time, we send out information on, because of all the work we do with recruiters, we always have a very good sense of what recruiters are looking for, how they're recruiting, how the world of recruitment is changing. So in these instances, we'll, share that information in the form of blogs or newsletters, and just, offer career guidance, advice. Last month, we published a salary guide. So if you toggle those, then you will hopefully reach that information. And I'll also show you where else we do talk about that. And the final step is to get prepping. So, give yourself the best chance of being found, and then being shortlisted, invited for an interview, and hopefully hired. So read up on our tips and tricks in our blogs, our newsletter, and our grad pack. Download the mobile app as well. As once you've registered, it's easier to register from a computer, from a desktop, just because the terms and conditions are quite lengthy, so you want to be able to read that quite clearly. Once you've registered, you can pretty much do everything you need to from the mobile app in terms of browse, apply. It's got the same search criteria, so you can filter jobs based on location or industry. Obviously, access those jobs 24/7. Just easier to do those things on the fly while you're standing in a taxi queue, or standing at the bank, but I don't think people stand at the bank anymore. But if you're in a queue somewhere, you might want to just kind of jump on and see what's happening. So these are some of the resources that we want to encourage you to access. Lisa, I did send these links to your email. Sorry, I meant to mention that before the session started, but if you are able to access that email and just share these links potentially in the chat, I think that would be very helpful. So we've got this grad pack, which is a free resource to graduates. It's about a 50-page document, and it talks about, it's divided into 3 sections. So it's how to set up a quality profile, which is a lot of what we've spoken about today. But it goes into detail about CVs and work experience and all those good things. So if you go to pnet.co.za/blog/grad pack, you will access a blog about the grad pack and what it's about and all the different information in it. And there's a link on that blog to go and download this grad pack. We also have a newsletter, which we send out a couple of times a year, or we actually publish this newsletter on LinkedIn. So it's available as a subscribed newsletter. So we encourage you, again, to go to the PNet page on LinkedIn and subscribe to the Job Scoop newsletter, where we'll share, as I say, all that information around blogs and learnings and insights, and if we've got a salary guide published, how you can access it and all those good things. And then we've got various other resources that you can access. We've done 2 social media live streams, so you can access them on our Facebook page, the recordings. They're probably about 40 minutes long, but the content is really probably about 30 minutes, and then there, some Q&A afterwards. The first one we did was around moving from seen to hired. So again, talks very much to this kind of content. The second one we did was around job ads. So, how do you decode a job ad? How do you look at, how do you identify, what you're suited for? How to look out for job scams, those sort of things. So there was a live stream on that. And we did have a sound issue on that. So I apologize in advance if you are going to go and listen to it. We've got a step-by-step blog, which talks to similar information that we've spoken about here. So you can use that as almost like a reference guide if you want to go and, refresh your memory at some point about some of the discussions we've had today. The Job Scoop newsletter, there's a link there to our LinkedIn newsletter, the Grad Pack I've spoken about. And then our PNet YouTube channel has got, I think it's got about 24 little video shorts. We call them PSA videos, a public service announcement. And it talks about all sorts of things, about, why soft skills are important, how to get through the question of salary, how to prepare for an interview. So just little shorts in those YouTube videos that will give you little tips and tricks on common frequently asked questions by job seekers.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Let me just read you one question while Lisa is connecting. Elizabeth Litswalo is asking if will she be able to upload more than one CV, or would she have to tailor one CV to fit all positions?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. You can, you'll have the latest CV available. So it is best, we always say it's best to tailor your CV for the career path, the career trajectory that you want to follow. But, we also know, like from my experience in marketing, different disciplines within marketing would focus on different keywords. So I think the role of a cover letter is probably more important than changing your CV, because your CV should be tailored for a particular industry or kind of, as I say, career path. But your cover letter could call out specific nuances for a particular job. So, but that said, there is an opportunity to upload a latest CV and send that off, but you can't necessarily have sort of three different CVs sitting on the platform, and one is labeled brand marketing, one's labeled product marketing, and one's labeled loyalty marketing. You know what I mean? So I think your cover letter is probably a better option to change to focus on the nuances of a particular job.
Okay. I just also want to invite those of you who haven't posted your questions in the chat to the Q&A yet, please go ahead and do so. I'm also just going to open up all the microphones. So if you would like to ask Michelle a question live, just click on the raise button on Teams, and then you'll be able to ask your question live. I just want to unblock the microphones quickly. While I'm doing that, Michelle, I was thinking about a question. You spoke about the importance of, really adding as many skills as possible. Are there some tips that you can give us about, how do you know which tips would be important to list, for example?
So I think, let me just go back to, I'm just going to reshare here. Where do I do that? Here we go. I think a good place to start is to understand the skills that recruiters are looking for, so this essentially, as I say, this comes out of our grad pack. These are the key skills that recruiters are looking for, employers are looking for. So, but you have to possess these skills, right? You can't just go and put them on your profile. But the point is, if you do possess this skill and it's a known skill, don't leave it off your profile. So if you are brilliant at problem solving, and problem solving comes in different names. So I would also suggest, so this is talking soft skills specifically, right? So if you are looking for, so problem solving could also be called creative thinking or analytical thinking. Add all of those, because you don't know what that particular recruiter is going to type in as a keyword. So if you do possess that kind of creative thinking skill, and it's one that recruiters are looking for, go and figure out as many words as possible to allude to that skill. The same with teamwork. If it's teamwork or collaboration, or if you work well with other people, then put that as a skill and think of any other ways that you might want to list that skill. Your hard skills are also important. I'm just going to quickly go back to those. Your hard skills are obviously also very important. They'll basically show that you have the ability to do the job. So it's as I said, the benchmark. That's the minimum that a recruiter would be looking for a particular role. And these would essentially be things that you've either learned through formal or informal training, whereas soft skills, we talk about things that you've learned just through your life experience. So if you are automatically an organized person, then put that as a skill. Organized, methodical, those sort of things. If you're not an organized person, please do not put organized as a skill. It's just going to frustrate. It's going to frustrate you if you are you find yourself working for a business where it's very structured, it's not flexible, it's not adaptable, and that's how you roll. You are able to kind of flit from one thing, because there is a company looking for that skill. Somebody's looking for flexibility and adaptability. So so be as honest and authentic, be honest and authentic, full stop. But then also, as I say, think of as many things that you can think of from your daily life that you possess as a personality trait or a characteristic to add under soft skills as well.
Thank you, Michelle. I was also just thinking, wouldn't it also be I would say strategic of you to go and take a look at some example job ads, for the kind of jobs that you're looking for, or the kind of organizations or industries that you want to work in, just to get a sense of what is being looked for in general.
Yeah, that's a fantastic tip, actually. And we talk a lot about that when we talk about cover letters. So if you look at our second live stream, there's a section that talks about cover letters. And I mean, that's obviously if you're applying for a specific position. So that's not necessarily setting up your profile, but that is a really, really good way to understand what recruiters are looking for in your business. So there would be things like qualifications. They often list competencies, and competencies would be things like soft skills. Must be able to work in a team. Okay, excellent. I've got collaboration on there. I've got teamwork on there. So you will get a very good sense of soft skills for a particular sector or role. And then certain businesses, as I say, depending on how that business and the company culture of that particular company, they would potentially add in, things that will attract people. They might even add in their values. So, you can make sure that you're aligning your own values to a particular company as well. And then once you've looked at that job spec, if you are going to be applying on the system for a particular role, one of the kind of tips we do, I know there's always a debate around whether a cover letter is useless or useful. we believe in the industry that it is useful because it gives you an opportunity to take, a lot of people use the cover letter to just do almost like a little executive summary of their CV. But you've already got your executive summary hopefully in your CV and in your profile. So one of the ways to have your profile on your application stand out is to take that cover letter, take that job spec and look at all the things that they're asking for and put that in your cover letter to say, if they're saying the person, we need somebody that's organized and able to communicate with people at all levels. In your cover letter, say, I'm so and so. I've got this qualification. I'm organized. I'm able to communicate with people at various levels. So you almost want to be reiterating what's in the job spec as listed as competencies and qualifications in your cover letter. So that when that recruiter is looking at anything from 40 to 100 applications for a role, they're kind of going, oh yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. They're nodding along frantically to say this is absolutely the person that we need to shortlist or invite in for an interview. So that's also a good reason to go and look at other job specs that are in the industry as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Michelle. There's a question here. If you are recruited via a recruitment agency, what is the fee percentage on your salary and how long do they deduct this fee?
It's probably not my place to comment on that. I think every agency has a different model. I think traditionally the model is a percentage of commission, a percentage of your salary as a commission. I don't know what that percentage is. It's probably different for different organizations. It also is for different periods. Some, depending on the seniority of the role, it could be a percentage for 3 months. It could be a percentage for 12 months. The difference, which is why more and more recruiters are using PNET directly, which is why we also say, go and make your profile visible to all recruiters, not agencies, is because we charge a once-off fee to recruiters. So a lot of recruiters are starting to, it comes down to time. A lot of recruiters are starting to use online recruitment platforms directly because they know that if they give the task to a recruitment agency, they're just going to go to the same platform anyway to find candidates or find people to shortlist. Whereas if they come here directly, they can circumvent an agency or, as I say, it's a once-off fee. Obviously, it boils down to time. Not all recruiters, specifically in the SME space, for example, would have the time to, go and look at the post vacancies, shortlist, read CVs, etc. So, but yeah, I would say I don't know what that percentage commission is for salaries, but it's anything from 3 to 12 months that they would take. But obviously that it's not coming off your salary. The the company is paying that as a recruitment fee on the side.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so I wanted to also ask you on your PNET profile now specifically, if you are somebody who has work experience and you're now upskilling yourself, doing your further qualification, maybe with the aim of changing industries or changing, even career fields, are there ways that you could indicate that on the PNET profile, or how would you go about perhaps explaining, what is it that you're busy doing?
Yeah, I think, again, it would come down to the work experience field and the skills field. But your CV that you upload is also a great opportunity to do that, so you could, and also sharing again, sorry, also on your profile, if I just go up to the top here, So the first section, as we say, is your personal details section. So if you are looking to change, if you're kind of looking to move from one career to a next, there is a section here. I'm not seeing it. Let me just see if I've got another example of that page. Oh, yes, here we go. So if you see here, experienced marketing strategist and brand developer with 20+ years experience. This is almost like your little elevator pitch. It's your one-liner. I think you can only put in 250 or 350 characters here. But this would be a great place on your profile to say that, you could say something like, I don't know, qualified software developer looking for new opportunity in project management or something like that, So you could talk about where you're coming from and where you're going as part of this, but then your skills section and your work experience section, or we call it work experience, but it really just talks to experience, is a good place to indicate, that you're available with these particular skills. So if you were a software developer and you want to move into project management, you would need to kind of think about what are the skills that both of those roles would possess, because your project management recruiter or company would be trying to understand what have you learned so far as a software developer that will help you be a good project manager. So that goes back to your transferable skills. I don't know, you could have learned, I don't even know what you could have learned as a software developer, but whatever is going to make you so organized, methodical. You would need both of those as a software developer and a project manager. So you would need to think about what are the skills that you're going to carry from your previous life, into your new career, and add that to your profile. And then it's also always just a good idea to add that as a little note in your actual CV that you're going to upload, because that's obviously free format. One of the other things to mention about CVs is to make them as simple as possible when it comes to design. So an ATS, an application tracking system, picks up text. It doesn't pick up images. It doesn't pick up design. So make it look nice, but it doesn't, gone are the days where you're printing out a CV and kind of dropping it off at companies. I mean, long gone are the days that happens. So your profile, your CV that you upload needs to be, the content is more important than the look and feel of that CV. You don't want the fact that you've got a, very heavy, big image sitting in that file that's going to make it difficult for the ATS to scan your CV. So, but it's, if you get through those initial hurdles and your keywords match and skills match and all those good things, at some point, an actual recruiter, a physical person, is going to look at your CV, and they would be able to kind of read your, as I say, your little elevator pitch on your profile, as well as your maybe your executive summary that kind of introduces the fact that you've come from here and you're wanting to move to there.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, there are still a couple of minutes left for questions. If you would like to ask, please post in the chat. But also raise your hand if you would like to ask Michelle a question live. While we then wait for more questions, Michelle, I'm just also going to share some resources. I saw that you've posted the links, what you spoke about in the chat. So thank you for that. Okay, I see a hand from Nsebana. You're welcome to unmute and ask your question. Nsebani.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. So my question for Ms. Michelle is regarding to tailoring my CV on the experience section. So let's say I am a soon-to-be graduate in PR, and I did a volunteering job for a certain non-profit organization, which was maybe 6 months ago, but now I'm currently working as a receptionist. If I am going to apply for PR roles, whether internships, entry-level roles, do I have to start with my PR experience, or do I have to mention my recent experience, which is now as I'm working as a receptionist? Like, I want to understand the section there, because I remember that on some of my CVs, I actually delete certain experiences that I've done. Maybe I've worked as a packer somewhere, I've worked as a waitress. I actually do not include them because I feel like they're not PR related, or they're actually not related to the role that I'm applying for. So
Yeah.
I actually would love to understand that, because I'm new on PNet and I want to try it out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much for that. It's actually something I struggled with on my own CV when I entered the world of work, because I took a gap year and went and worked on a kibbutz overseas. So I had a year, and then I thought, oh, well, it's not relevant. It's not relevant to marketing, so I'm not going to put it in my CV. And it's the first question I got asked in every single interview or phone call or screening call is, where were you for a year? So I'm going to answer the question in a couple of ways. The first one is on the actual PNet platform, where you fill in all of the individual fields, you would put both in. So you might not so for example, if you speak about packer or something like that, that's not going to necessarily be relevant to PR. So you could put that in as work experience without elaborating on it too much. And you could even combine that with one or two other roles. So let's say you were a packer for 6 months and a waitress for a year. You could put that under work experience from for the past 2 or 3 years. And then you could say something like, various casual jobs such as packer, waitress, whatever, because your skills are not necessarily going to be relevant from that, or not necessarily. But I think it is important that you include the time frame so that people know where you were. You didn't just fall off the face of the earth for that year or two. And it also does, even though the skills are not relevant, it does indicates to a recruiter that you're a go-getter, that you were entering the world of work, you were learning responsibility. Any work experience is going to be relevant in terms of what it implies about you as a person. So I would you would include it in your profile, because that's not a question of whether it's not an and or. You'll include both. You'll include your qualifications, your skills in terms of what you're looking for out of a job from a PR point of view. So all your skills will talk to PR functions, and it will explain to recruiters what you were doing. When it comes to your CV, I would list the information there. So various casual jobs between this date and that date, such as, so you won't necessarily say, I worked for this company for this period, these were my tasks. I worked for this company for this period, these were my tasks. But when it comes to receptionist, for me, that would be something that, that I would list if it was my CV, because there you can talk to the fact that you are a people person, you love dealing with people, which is a skill that a receptionist would need to have. Patience, lots of patience. But generally a people person, you're comfortable talking to people, you're comfortable, being the face of the company, or the first person that the company, that somebody would come across from the company, etc. So I do think that there's an opportunity to match your receptionist skills to what you're looking for in a PR role. And then we always talk in your CV, again, on our second live stream with the really bad audio, there is, as well as the grad pack, there is a section there on kind of the flow of your CV. So you would talk to your now I might get it wrong. You would talk to your qualifications before you talk to your work, your historical work experience. So, or you would have your little executive summary. This is what you're looking for. So, I'm a PR graduate with X, Y, Z, currently working as a receptionist, but, keen to enter into the world of PR, where I can showcase my skills as you know, a people person, blah, 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 blah. So, so you would, in short, you would, I think, minimize. You wouldn't talk about that at length, your casual jobs, unless there are skills that you're carrying over into PR. But I think it's important to add the timeline, because as soon as there's a big gap, recruiters, you don't want anything to, you know, you don't want anything to make them question what they're looking at. So give them the information. This is where you were, you know, I now say this is where I was for a year. I didn't, you know, like what was I doing? Was I just partying or what? But no, I was actually, you know, out there kind of gaining experience on certain things. So I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Thanks, Michelle, for the answer. I was also thinking in a previous session that we had, there was the question about, and I'm not sure on the PNET platform whether if you have different work experiences to list, do you also need to indicate the reason why you left that position?
Yeah, that is always one. It's fine to, I think it's fine to, I do think, again, you know, just from my own experience recruiting people as well as recruiters that we work with, I do think if that's going to be a question, if that's going to be their first question when they're looking at your CV, like, oh, that sounds like an excellent job, I wonder why they left. So, for example, I worked for Adidas for a while, and nobody can understand why I would leave Adidas. I went from Adidas to insurance, of all things. And for a long time, I didn't put anything on my CV as to why I left Adidas. And it was always something that, it was the first question that came up in screening calls or interviews is, you know, why on earth did you leave Adidas to go and work for an insurance company? But it was a very strategic move on my part. You know, Adidas is a very well-known brand. I was doing lots of traditional brand marketing, advertising, social media, whereas the insurance company gave me an opportunity to get more involved in analytics, performance marketing, paid media, campaigns, digital, that sort of thing. So it was a very strategic move to go and fill a gap in my CV as a marketer, specifically as an aging marketer, where I needed to show that I was still relevant in today's digital world. So I think if you can, I mean, I do believe that indicating why you left is a good thing. If you obviously need to frame it very carefully if there was bad blood, you know. I would also strongly recommend you don't stay for more money, because that may very well be the case in a lot of instances. But, you know, generally, if you're talking to growth, or if something happened that was out of your control, you know, I've been retrenched before. There's absolutely no shame in putting that on your CV if you were retrenched. You know, the company's situation changed, whatever it is. So if it's something that was out of your control, or if it was a specific kind of strategic move on your part. If it wasn't a specific strategic move on your part, I would definitely try and find a way to show that move in a positive light, because hopefully there is some positive reason why you moved on, you know. But I wouldn't focus on the negative as to why you left, rather than why you. So looking forward, if that makes sense. So, you know, I wouldn't say it was a toxic environment. It may have been a toxic environment, but if you can try and think of another positive spin on that particular, again, I always say, you know, authentic and honest. But the role of your profile and your CV is to get your foot in the door. So you don't have to divulge, you know, all of your dirty laundry if that's something that's happened in your past in your profile. Your profile, everything in your profile and your CV is about getting your foot in the door to have that interview. When you're having that interview, you know, that might be an opportunity to say, oh, it was a very toxic environment, or, you know, the company culture just didn't match my values. That's absolutely perfectly fine. But then you're saying it in a more personable way. You're saying it in a very human way. They've already got a sense of your personality. They're not just reading it, you know, and going like, oh, this one's a troublemaker or whatever it is. So don't, as I was saying, don't always be authentic and honest, because that's going to come and bite you in the bum if you're not. And it's also going to make you unhappy if you're recruited on the basis of, you know, lies or exaggerations. But Yeah, but your profile is your brochure, basically. It's your sales brochure for your own personal brand. So show yourself in the best light in that way. Answer any questions or gaps that they might, automatically kind of stop on. But you don't have to give all of the. It's another thing where, we see people list reams and reams of tasks that they're involved in. There are 3, 4, 5 pages of tasks that they're involved in, even though it's the same tasks for different companies. So keep it short, keep your CV short, 1 or 2 pages maximum. Your objective is to use your profile to sell yourself. And once you're sitting in front of a recruiter, you can talk through, examples of all these amazing things that you did that demonstrate that you have those skills, because that's your opportunity then to, get complicated messages across, with using non-verbal cues, body language, stories, etc. So sorry, that's a very long-winded response.
No, it's great. Okay, thank you, Michelle. I'm just going to do the announcement now. I don't see any further questions. You are still free to post any questions in the chat. We will look at those before we end the call. So let me make the announcements, and then we'll go back to the chat to check questions, and then we will end off our session. Okay, so from our side, Michelle has already shared the PNET Grad Pack link with you. So please make some time to go and download that, and also go and check out the other resources that she's shared. Follow them on social media, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, so that you are up to date with all the latest news from PNET. Then there's also the Grad Next book that you can download. It's also free of charge, also focusing on the different skills that you need to position yourself in the workplace and to prepare for opportunities. So including things such as personal branding, preparing for an interview, how to look for jobs, and even topics about starting your own business. Then from our side, the career events such as the one you're attending right now, we have scheduled further events, for example, coming up for the rest of March. We have a session on the 25th, Where to From Here, planning for further studies. We also have a session on the 26th of March that will focus on teaching opportunities in China. And on the 27th, we're doing showcasing your skills with digital portfolios. On the 27th and 28th of March, we have the Department of Employment and Labour visiting us on the Sunnyside campus, where they will assist students with registering on the jobs platform. And then on the 1st of April, we are happy to see Michelle again, where she will delve into getting the job, that is your interview skills. So just check the My Unisa events calendar for the links that you can use to register for these different events. As with all our other events, we do record. So if you can't attend sessions live, please make sure that you visit our YouTube channel, where we will post the edited recordings for you to go and watch afterwards. Then just in terms of getting in touch with us at Counselling and Career Development, you're welcome to send us an email to counselling@unisa.ac.za. We also offer online appointments that you can book to have a discussion with a counsellor on Microsoft Teams, or you could contact a counsellor at your nearest Unisa regional office to make an appointment for in-person counselling. Then on our website, we have several self-help resources that you can use for career development, but also for academic skills and personal development. And then, as I mentioned, our YouTube channel, where you could go and watch recordings of sessions such as this one. So from my side, that is it for the announcements. Let's just go back to the chat quickly. Michelle, there is a question about, do I list my experience of running my own business on my CV? So if you're an entrepreneur.
Hell yes. Yeah, you do, because there would be some wonderful skills and learnings attached to running your own business. So yeah, I would definitely list that. And again, as I say, whatever you list on kind of work experience or life experience or transferable skills, I would then translate that into what skills do I add, you know? And running your own business would certainly come with a whole host of wonderful skills that a recruiter would certainly find attractive, even if it's an unrelated business. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same goes for if you do freelance work or project-specific work for different organizations. Even as you mentioned, if it's on a volunteer basis. So don't only think about paid opportunities to capitalize on those to put on your profile as well as on your CV. Okay, and then Michelle, I also saw that you responded to a question here about, if you might have been fired from previous positions. So thank you for that contribution.
Sure.
So for that, I'm just going to ask Becky Mzobe to end off the session for us. Yeah, thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. As we wrap up, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of my colleagues to all contributed to make today's Career Talk session a success. First and foremost, a big thank you to Ms. Michelle Dobson for sharing her invaluable insight and practical strategies on how to stand out in an online job market. Your expertise has provided us with actionable steps that will undoubtedly help many of our students enhance online profiles, increase their job prospects. We truly appreciate your time, effort, and wealth of knowledge you have shared with us today. I would also like to commend PNET for partnering with us and for their support and commitment to empowering job seekers. A special thank you to Ms. Daisel and Mrs. Makanya for their dedication and hard work putting this event together. Last but not least, thank you to all attendees for your participation and engagement. We hope you leave this session feeling more confident and better prepared to take next step in your job search journey. Let us put this insight together, which we gained today, to action and position ourselves for success. Wishing you all the best. Thank you. Back to Lisa.
Thank you very much, Becky, and thank you, Michelle, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again on the 1st of April. Thank you also to all of you who have joined for your questions. I hope that you've learned also the process of feeling free to participate, in these live sessions. And we hope to see you again at future events. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.